Ready.
Today's January 22nd. It's in the afternoon. It's also a Friday, and this is the Board State. The Board State is a weekly, woohoo, we are weekly now, podcast where we discuss game design for social good. My name is Jeffrey Vierra, and I really enjoy doing this show. I am joined with one of you just
Alika Spawn right here. And
Jack, tell us just a little bit about your background today, since you're the only one with a background.
Because it's the Galactic Alliance, okay? It was one of the first models that was made during the Old Republic, and this symbol was not adopted, but it was one of the first symbols that was made for this organization. The organization had Sith Empire, which was basically Sith, Imperials, and also Imperial Intelligence. You also had a lot more of the Hug Cartel, and you also had the Galactic Republic, Jedi, Grey Jedi, vice versa. They had a mixture of different personalities. You had the Mandalorians and Mandalore inside the faction, and they had their own intelligence bureau, and yeah. And they were set up to fight against tyrannical sky trooper drones, OP.
So so you're saying that the Sith were also set up to fight against tyranny?
The Sith, yes.
Oh,
and,
wow.
You know, Sith
Wow.
doctrine is not tyrannical, it's just self-destructing.
So
there's a major difference in that.
there's a major difference. I can't help my composure. Like, there's a major, just say this out loud, because I'm not sure I heard it correctly. There's a major difference between being tyrannical and self-destructing.
Yes, because
Okay.
yes,
the Eldar...
there's a lot of self-destructing people who are not tyrannical.
Exactly.
Okay.
And
Okay.
if you
So
follow
it's a Star Wars reference that you have.
Yeah, I thought you were
Yeah.
talking about like
Or-
Japan or something. I don't know what.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So our podcast, what we do is we look up articles that have to do specifically more or less with game design for social good. And what we do in this version of the cast is we each pick one article, and then the person that picks the article talks a little bit about it, and then everyone else shares their thoughts on it. So I'm going to go first. So the article that I picked is Fog of War 2. Now, this isn't an article specifically about game design. So just little off tangent. I'm training for a 24-hour marathon thing. So I've been looking up all these different kind of apps of, that like track running and kind of bring excitement and not just kind of, running away like I'm feeling like I'm running away from the cops or something. Not that I would. But yeah, so I came across this,
or would need to.
Yeah,
so I came across this app. Fog of War, which essentially creates like a fog of war, like a video game. And then as you run through these areas, like on the map, it begins to lift this fog of war. So it encourages exploration and navigation and kind of mapping and things like that. That was like really, really cool. And it's interesting that this hasn't really, because this article is a little older. This is really the only write-up that I could find. The articles, the app rather, is still available. That's a really cool idea and concept that I would love to see done more. There's this idea of called psychogeography, and it's like this way of like almost like it had kind of its heyday maybe 5 to 10 years ago. And what it is it's going back to places like closed down stores that are now, I don't know, like a mall or, old like diner that you used to go to and eat, going to these places and then feeling what that feels like being there. And then there was this community that would do that to like these abandoned like malls and abandoned like cities and things. Like they would travel like these tourists and they would find these abandoned cities like in China and whatever, and then they would explore them and they would kind of blog about it. And it was this way of kind almost like the 1800s explorers going and plundering loot and bringing them back to their museums from indigenous cultures. But in this case, you're not plundering. You're exploring this forgotten landscape. So this brought me like right back to this. But I'm really curious, like your guys' thoughts of this. Like, what do you think? Like, is this like a viable kind of like gaming experience that could be used for like gaming?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Absolutely. I think this could be used in the game that we're working on right now in Ka'ala. Like if it was a visual type of game,
yeah,
like this would be such a cool feature in it where all of Ka'ala is covered in fog, and you track your progress of exploration and finding these different spots, and so you can keep track of where the Mo'olelo live. You know, like
yeah,
that'd be super cool. Yeah.
Well, for me, it's kind of like the two at the exact same time, because I play a lot of strategy sims, and in that case, the most amount of information you have currently, even if you have to like sacrifice a unit, is better than to have no information at all. And so like making a game concept like that, I could easily see like people like reinvigorating communities by having like, oh, my community is invading your community, and it shows like on their screens like, oh, they making lands into other people's communities, but they don't know where exactly to go. Another way
sounds
of
horrible.
portraying-
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Steer people.
Yeah,
to a
let's
brighter
pit
future.
communities against each other. Yeah.
Oh, but say you will. Oh, I wonder
You
why
guys are invading us. Are we in LA in the 90s again? What's going on? Like, dude. What? My team's red. Your team's blue. You guys are invading my community. You just made a gang war app, Jack.
Check this out, right? You can kind of see like in this maps.
Yeah.
So I mentioned like badges for exploration and things like that. So there's like a scorecard of like the places you can go and things like that. So again, it encourages exploration. Yeah, it's so cool. And it's simple, right? Simple, I think, and like everybody can kind of get how this works. Like you don't have to like over explain it, like, right? It's just very, very, very simple idea and very simple.
I don't need a strategy guide for this.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
You memorize 5,000 units.
Wow. I should, looking at these pictures, what I'm probably gonna do, I'm gonna probably write the word or letter J, like an IAL where I live.
Somewhere.
Try to like run around like, okay,
yeah.
Woo!
That would be cool. That you write messages in your app and other users could see it. That would be super cool.
Totally. All right, cool. Yeah, I decided I wanted to start. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Another thing this could be useful is ecological purposes. Basically, letting other people who's trying to dig up historical artifacts, because that's a really like niche thing on YouTube, but it's still going strong. Well, they go to like in these Eastern European countries or in China and go up to these dig sites. Using apps like this would be like, oh, if you want to follow us, then and you want to help us out, just follow our path.
Sorry, I didn't do that. It's like these like this sacred Perusian, like we're just digging up like these Peru artifacts. I just want to come and check it out.
With the selfie.
Yeah, just, bring up our app.
The artifacts that I'm talking about is World War II and not that. So reason why I'm not saying that.
It's like, come on over.
Guys, check this out. These figurines are 6,000 years old. Look, they're kissing. The figurines are kissing.
Please don't touch that ammunition. Little kid, like he's climbing in the tank. Excuse me. Yeah. Like a Nazi.
No, but I Jack, I do.
Why?
I do
Why
think it's a
today?
cool idea though, Jack. No, but I do think it's a cool idea because it would track progress, and then you would be able to see a culmination of everybody's tracks in that one area. So you would see the hot spots, and you would see where people haven't explored before. So you could choose to explore something a little bit different. Like the guy who wrote this article is constantly looking for alternate routes, right? So that's his motivation.
Right.
So that would be a cool archaeological thing. I mean, if used by certified professionals, of course, not for the
exactly.
But there's a thin line here, right?
Yeah,
thin line. Like, I mean, especially Hawaii, right? You know, it's like we don't want these people like crashing through. Like this is off the meeting. Like you going crashing through somebody's back, like stairway to heaven, right?
All you can find is cracks.
Backyard.
Nah.
Go through this yard and you'll get your leg broken.
But what's the idea when you were saying that for me, it's like it'd be this really cool like ecotourism thing. Like instead of getting a tour guide, you just get this app. And this app can like this Google map, comes up and you drive to this location, then all the information and things that you would need is already in this app. Yeah. And that app can link to other references too if you wanted to dig a little bit deeper about this place rather than just looking at like a plaque, like how that is, like you go to like Poly Lookout or whatever, like that plaque, you're trying to like stand there and read it. It just feels so weird. Everyone standing next to you, like it just feels really weird to me. Everyone's just like standing there like, oh, okay. And then I just pretend to finish reading it. So like, I'm done.
Got it.
Okay, right.
Oh, did you see the part about how in 1893 they showed up and
So here's the thing, guys. In a post-COVID world, that would be an amazing app opportunity. As like not have to go with like a tour group. Like you just have this app. Like you just come to Hawaii, whatever, and then you can just follow this app, and this app will take you to this beach. This is the history of the beach. We'll take
Make sure we cut this out in editing.
No, it's already too late.
There's ideas, and then you got to implement them, right? That's the two things. So
yeah.
All right. I think we talked about Fog of War a little bit too much. So that is Fog of War. Brian.
Fog of World.
I keep calling it Fog of War. Thank you, Fog of World, because it is the Fog of War. No, it's not Fog of War. That's what Jack would say. Look, Jack, see? Look at him. He's like, it is.
No.
It's always war.
What? No, Jack.
It's
I don't know.
Shouldn't call it that.
Are you gonna say technically it's Fog of War?
No. Oh, like the genre or like the thing, the mechanic is a fog of war. So
yes, it is. Yes, it is.
It's not going against the dictionary definition, right?
Right.
You're right, Jack. The root idea of that kind of smoke over the battlefield, like it's in game design, it's called Fog of War, even if it's Animal Crossing, for example, right? Like there's none of that. So even if there's no battle, but in this, it's the Fog of World, which is why Fog of War is what it is.
But you could use it in like a war zone scenario, and then it will be a Fog of War.
Yeah.
All right.
Now we're going in a rabbit hole.
Fog of World 2. All right. So next article is from The Conversation and from theconversation.org. And this is gaming has benefits and perils. Parents can help kids by playing them. And whose article is this? I closed my notes. Is this yours, Alika?
Yes, sir.
All right. Why don't you start it off? What is this article about?
So it is about how parents playing with kids can actually teach them a lot of life skills like etiquette, or just really tackle a little bit deeper issues that the kids might be dealing with and not know how to communicate about it, in the same way that the depressing game brings up certain issues about mental health that maybe kids aren't high school students aren't comfortable sharing in any other space, but playing a game about it helps them share it. With this, when you're playing, it's basically saying when you play with your kids, it's a good opportunity for you to talk about, like, say, if the main character is a different color or something, and you'd be like, oh, so how do you feel about the fact that the main character is this? Or if you're trying to accomplish something in the game that may be a touchy issue, like say you have to do something that this kid is, the kid has to do something that they're scared to do or is against doing, then the parent can be there and be like, hey, well, so how do you feel about this mission? Just little stuff like that and of course, let's try not to make it feel like an after school special, like, now, Johnny, I know your character is drinking there, but you don't have to drink like that, right, Johnny? So it doesn't have to be like that. But like, I chose this article because I like to play video games with my son. He's 8, and he happens to love first-person shooters because it's just action all the time for him. So he's playing this, and we actually tackle things like, you're not supposed to shoot people, right? Like when he first started playing this, he's like, oh yeah, I just like playing this game. It's super cool. I like my character and how he jumps around, and he looks at me like I'm weird because I'm concerned that he's having an adult concern as a child playing a game. So it's a good way for us to communicate about what he's actually thinking when he's playing this game and what he actually feels like he's accomplishing when he's playing this game versus what I think he is. So it cuts a lot of assumptions down and opens up the channels of communication. Like just this past weekend, I was playing with my son, and he was getting really frustrated, and he started saying, oh, they're always killing me. They always kill me. Or I never get to shoot. And I just simply asked him, always? You did pretty good last game. He was just like, well, okay, sometimes they get to me. And I'm like, okay. Wow. So, so just that little shift, because he was on the verge of tears. Like, he's getting frustrated that he was just getting slaughtered in this game. But as soon as I asked him, always? And I reminded him that he's been doing really well. He just had a bad game this game. It completely shifted his mind. Like, he stopped. I could look at him and see the frustration was draining out of his face. And then I started asking him, like, how did you get him last time? And he starts thinking about solutions instead of just being mad. And so this is a perfect example. This article covers that kind of interaction. Yeah.
Wow. Jack, what are your thoughts on this, being the youngest of us here?
Well, honestly, I do agree with you, Alika, about how this article could portray and how adults can really do well by communicating with their kids. But I also think it also has to be, you have to first understand what your child wants to do in any circumstance. Like, for example, my dad would not have those conversations like that. Instead, he will have those conversations like, okay, you know about taxes, right? And I'm like, no. Okay, let me teach you about taxes. Or you know about what?
He's 9, by the way. He was 9, by the way, when his dad told him.
No, for reals. And then, or like, for example, one noble thing is, okay, do you know how to put needles into your arm successfully and not ruin it? No? Okay, let me teach you. And that's how he will communicate his lessons to me. But my sisters was boiled in competitive spirit with each other or with us. And so when we played, it was often, okay, why are you angry with him if he gets to kill you in this game? If you're angry at him, then there's 2 things you need to do right now. Say sorry and understand why you die. Or vice versa. If I gotten heated over it, he's gonna be like, okay, 1, it's still a game, but 2, why do you got heated for it? You want to approach your kid in what, if you have a kid or if you have a nephew or niece, in a way where they don't feel like they're being talked to, like how Alika was saying. Because I know for a fact when my cousins used to get talked to like that, they'll be like, "Okay, uncle," and they would just go back on with me, and we'd be doing the exact same thing, but they will have forgotten the lesson. So finding that whole middle ground between that is very more important than anything else, because that will allow you to not only build a stronger relation with your kids or with your nieces or nephews in the long term, because now you could talk to them more, but it also allows their nieces and nephews and kids to talk to you more openly outside of the realms that you chose to speak. Like the main topics that used to get me out was pizza or um like walking. Those was the main two things that he usually have these talks with me, and it's usually by myself. That worked with me, but with my sisters, it was usually having two or more. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like it's granted that of course you're not just gonna, if your kid doesn't want to play a game, you're not gonna turn it on and be like, you're gonna play this with me, we're gonna talk about life, let's play this. Like that'd be very awkward. But like if you don't even have to learn how to play the game, you could just sit there on the side and watch your kid play the game and ask them about the game, or just it takes some social intelligence to kind of know how to weave yourself into that. But this is basically covering the benefits of doing so
right.
if you've learned how to do that. Yeah.
And like he would, the games doesn't really matter because like we and my cousins would love to play Halo. My sisters would love to play Just Dance, but the lessons can be taught from either format. The game itself doesn't matter. It's just how you present the conversation.
Mm.
All right. Very cool. Very, very cool. Deep, deep, deep insights. Another really good article, Brother Alika. So
Thanks, man.
I'm not going to re-say what you guys said. That's very, very cool. I'm just going to, a couple of things that I just want to add to this conversation is one, if you have a child that is under 18, that's living at home, chances are they're probably playing video games. Chances are,
Most likely.
more than likely, right? On their phone, right? If they're on their phone, they might not be, chatting with you. They might just be, they might be playing a game. And there's different ways to participate in the gaming space, and that's one thing that I really like that they covered. Where is it? I just saw it here. Yeah, so families too can use digital games to set up cloud web endeavors. No, so they were talking about the different forms of participation. So one is like there's gamers that will oftentimes watch players play, like on a stream, or even just die and just kind of watch the game go on, and those are quote unquote like lurkers, right? So it doesn't mean that you have to like know about the game or play the game. It can just be entertaining for its own sake. So even though you don't play the game, you can sit next to your son or daughter and then ask them questions about the game and use that as a medium and a vehicle for further discussion, which I think is what they were alluding to in this article. But yeah, it's very, very cool. Again, this is another article where we are showcasing how powerful a medium gaming is outside of just escapism, right? Like just going through this world and just passively playing. It's really powerful. It can be used in so many different ways. Yeah. All right. So that is the conversation. I love that. The conversation, and they got a little bubble there. Oh, so smart. From the conversation.com. All right. The next, I know who this came from. This is from our Empire loving friend there.
Empire did nothing wrong. Hashtag Empire did nothing wrong.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
That was a word from our sponsors, the Empire. Okay.
Coming to a planet near you. Dun, dun, dun. Anyway, okay. And
dun, 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 dun.
And just as a
2021.
And just as a caveat for our listeners, I know there is a lot of listeners who listen that are from, nonprofits and things like that, I know there's a lot of like solicitation that I got from some of the listeners that are listening. And just Jack pretends to be evil, or I mean not really evil, because again, like evil never really calls itself evil, right? They're just helping people out, or right?
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, let me take that back. I'm pretty sure the Empire calls itself evil. I think
No. I want to point out that a lot of the propaganda in the Empire, in the Star Wars universe, has really didn't say that they want evil. It's they want to let the audience decide for themselves,
Okay, so
die.
So
Okay.
let me just. I don't know if you know. I mean, I know you can see yourself in the screen, but I don't know if you can really see yourself in the screen. So like, just think about what you're saying right now. Being recorded. It's going online for posterity's sake, and you are rationalizing actions of the Empire. Just put that in mind. Okay, just absorb that. All right.
Forever to be here.
There's the Internet Archive, and even if you remove stuff, you can go and look stuff up. So yeah, that's something that I should tell students is you are creating a footprint of yourself online forever.
Forever.
All right.
Yep, yeah.
Which is not part of this article, or maybe it
jokes
is.
aside.
To help gamers on Twitch, Dr. K balances mental health advice with medical ethics. Jack, what is this article all about?
So it really comes down to the works of one streamer, and his streamer name goes by Dr. K, or his real name, Kojani, is 38 and is a Harvard-trained practice physician currently based in Houston, Texas. And he, quoting from the article, he says even before COVID-19, the mental health care system was ill-equipped to handle new assaults on our connection. As he calls them, app designs to keep you scrolling, video platforms designed to keep you watching, game designs to keep you paying. And so, continuing on, because physicians isn't enough, said Coach Johnny in a recent interview over Zoom, he suggests we need a more holistic approach like we take towards physical health. We need to stop thinking about just medicine. If we said you had a physical problem, imagine we had no gyms, no nutrition. It just doesn't make sense. And I could honestly see where he's coming from. And the article really does portray both sides of the camp because that was his take of things. And from what the other side of the camp is saying is that even though, because in every video, in every stream, he does this. I am not an actual physician. Should not be taken as physician advice or therapist advice. But to a lot of the guys who actually does this, we saying that just because you gave that warning, that doesn't mean you're not it. And because of that, you really shouldn't be doing this. And I have to argue that he should because everything in life is going to have to change eventually. And that a lot of the things that we do in our everyday lives within the next 30 years will arguably change no matter what you be doing, whether it's that being a cook, being a janitor, being a police officer, whatever you may be doing, that profession is going to change by a lot. But change is not going to happen if it's not. You see, change is always going to be criticized a lot more than it's going to be welcome. And for this case, I honestly see why they'll criticize and get a lot more because the fact that it is public and not private, that may be not helpful for a lot of people that may want to go to these sessions and seek advice, but not have their family members or their loved ones finding out about this. But for those who do, it may actually be a much more better way of helping them and assisting them through life. Like gaming has shown this a lot in a lot of ways through MMOs and their guild communities, through Pokemon Go, how they have a lot of the in-game chat and outside chat becoming more and more about outside perils and from A to Z. So this is just another way where gaming is coming away, and that's it's a streamer, but a lot of his streams have gaming streamers, and has a gaming centric focus. So that's the main reason why I put him as like a showcase. The second thing was that I know a lot of game developers Discord channels who use his program as a way of like keeping up their spirits for a lot of them, and it works. So it's hard to say that it does not have brought a positive effect. So I'm just curious on what you two have to say about this.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna go right. Oh, Alika is gonna talk because Alika has a obligation in a few minutes. Alika, if you could just give your insights, and then we'll give you a little mahalos, and then we'll talk to you next week.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So he is an actual practicing psychiatrist. The issue is that ethically he's not supposed to be giving any kind of professional advice without doing a full private examination, right? So yeah, I read this article, and I also feel like it's right along the same lines as the article I shared, just more for mental health issues. So this I am totally for it. And with the whole like ethics thing and whatnot, I don't know. I think if somebody is asking you for advice, then I think it's cool if you're just like, well, this is what I think. If you're gonna ask, but don't be doling out like, yeah, you've got depression, you've got bipolar disorder, you know, like, don't do that. But that's not what he does. So like, I think it's totally cool. I think it's completely ethical. Everybody has a choice of whether or not they want to go and listen to or jump in on his stream. And once again, gaming being that vehicle for interaction that leads to deeper interaction. It leads to other areas. It branches out, and I like it. I love what he's doing. I think it's wonderful. I've had quite a few therapy sessions on Call of Duty on Xbox Live like 10 years ago. So it was a good time. Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
Those are my thoughts. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I just have a couple of things to mention. Is I'm sure, like it's one of those things. Like, yeah, I'm a financial advisor, but I'm not playing a financial advisor right now. But this is what I think you should do. I'm sure, like on his stream, he'd be like, I think you should go talk to your dad. You know, like just tell him how much you care about him. Like, you know, I'm sure that's coming across. But he's saying, you know, you just because he hasn't like legally saying, you know, just so that he's not held accountable for things that may happen because he might have said something. Right? Yeah. But I'm sure he gives these, you know, offhanded suggestions. And I mean, we're talking about this guy. Obviously, he has a following, and you know is popular. So so he has something, and it's something. Again, we always talking about the blue ocean strategy. He's offering something different than all the other streamers, right? It's like this medical doctor or
psychiatrist
or psychiatrist that is streaming, that you get to go hang out with, you know, and talk story with, and you know, super. I mean, man. The other thing I just want to say is, how cool is this stuff, right? Like we live in an age where these guys who play video games, you can log in for free, you know, like talk to this dude, and you know, right on, man. That was a good headshot. Question, you know, I want to break up with my girlfriend, but I don't really know. like they could be like a relationship counselor that streams, right?
Or that was a good headshot. Question: I was wondering why you laughed for 5 minutes after the headshot. Just curious. Just curious.
Like whenever you're about to get somebody a headshot,
Yeah.
you have a look in your eye. Why is that, Doc? All right, brother, you better head out, man. You gotta get set up and get everything connected. All right.
Yep.
See you next week. Thank you,
Okay.
sir. Right on.
See ya.
Aloha.
Aloha. See you guys.
All right.
Question of
yeah.
the day, Mr. B?
There's no
Do you
question
have
of the day. There's no
Oh,
question of the
shoot.
day for this week. But that's gonna do it. Any closing comments, Jack?
Yeah, and like how Alika said, like gaming is going to amp this guy up, and ethically, even though there's, I know because I was in the mental health system, and ethically he is going on the line, but I'd still say like in order for anything to have progress, you need to be on that line at least once. But yeah,
All right. And where can people email us, Jack, if they want to send us
at
the question of the day?
theboardstate@gmail.com.
That's right, folks. theboardstate@gmail.com. Thank you all for listening, and we'll do another one of these next week, Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.